Coming up today on Good Morning BU.
President-elect Trump is welcome back to the White House.
Welcome back.
And Boston Children's Hospital is ordered to compensate a former physiologist after an investigation.
Check out a new photo exhibit on campus featuring BU photographers.
See how the BU men's hockey season has been playing out with our sports correspondent.
And find out how Boston is getting into the holiday spirit.
Live from Studio West in the College of Communication, Good Morning BU starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Good Morning BU. I'm Addison Cummings.
And I'm Sydney Toff. Here are today's top stories. It's official. Republicans have won enough seats to keep control of the House. A little over a week after the election, Thursday night's count revealed Republicans will win seats in Arizona and California. The GOP reached the 218 House seat threshold needed to be the majority. Last week, Republicans took control of the Senate from Democrats. This win means Republicans have control of the legislative branch. The last time the GOP had a majority in Congress was 2017, but Republican leaders were resistant to Trump's policies. With this majority, Republican leaders say they promise to reform the largest ever deportation effort, increase tax breaks, and reshape the economy.
President-elect Donald Trump continues to appoint more people to his cabinet before he takes office this January. Most notably, Trump appointed Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy as leaders of the new Department of Government Efficiency. Questions about this position surface due to potential conflict of interest with their own government-contracted companies. As Chief of Staff, campaign co-chair Susie Wiles has been named. She'll be the first woman to hold this position. Wiles managed Trump's 2024 campaign and has worked in Republican campaigns since Reagan's presidency. Both these nominations do not require confirmation from the Senate.
Stirring controversy, President-elect Trump appointed Matt Gaetz, a Florida Republican congressman, to Attorney General. Gaetz was investigated for federal sex trafficking, but his charges were dropped in 2023. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., former environmental lawyer with no public health degree, has been appointed to the head Department of Health and Human Services. Many have expressed concerns over his vaccine skepticism. These nominations have yet to be confirmed by the Senate. And in more news from Washington, South Dakota Republican Senator John Thune was elected as the next Senate Majority Leader on Wednesday. This is the first time in 18 years that Republicans voted on a majority leader, as current Minority Leader Mitch McConnell announced he will not seek another leadership role. Thune won the secret ballot over Texas Senator John Cornyn by a 29-24 vote. They beat MAGA favorite Senator Rick Scott in the first round of voting. In a Fox News op-ed on Monday, Thune emphasized his support of Trump's immigration and economic policies.
And this Republican team is united. We are on one team. We are excited to reclaim the majority and to get to work with our colleagues in the House to enact President Trump's agenda.
While Thune supports Trump now, he has had a complicated relationship with the president-elect over the past decade. CNN reported that Thune not only called Trump to drop out of the 2016 race in light of the Access Hollywood scandal, but also called Trump's actions during the January 6th insurrection as indefensible. Thune will be sworn in as leader on January 3rd, 2025.
On Wednesday, President Biden welcomed President-elect Donald Trump back to the Oval Office. The meeting lasted around 2 hours as the presidents discussed national security and domestic policy issues. A majority of this meeting was behind closed doors, and this is the first time Biden and Trump have met face-to-face since their presidential debate in July. Despite their differences, both candidates ensured a peaceful transfer of power.
Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you. Donald, congratulations.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having a, like we said, smooth transition.
Trump will be sworn in on January 20th.
After Trump was elected, I got to chat with CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig on what this means for the Department of Justice. As a former prosecutor, are you at all concerned about what could happen to the Department of Justice under another Trump administration?
Yeah, concerned, not hysterical or frantic. I mean, I tend to take a sort of centrist, like, let's wait and see how things play out. I believe in our structures, and I believe in the people who work there. Look, some of the things Trump has said he will do are definitely alarming, saying he was going to prosecute his enemies. I'm not convinced he's going to actually do that. First of all, he did not do that during his first tenure. Doesn't mean he won't now, but it's an important data point. I wrote my whole first book was criticizing Trump's DOJ during the first tenure. And as much as Trump and Bill Barr used DOJ for their own political purposes to protect themselves, one thing they never did is they never weaponized it to indict and prosecute and imprison someone who was a political enemy for the sake of, because the person was a political enemy of Trump. The other thing I want to stress is when we think about the Justice Department, we tend to naturally think of the AG and the Solicitor General and maybe the U.S. attorneys. But 99.8% of the people who work there are what I was, just normal, regular prosecutors and FBI agents and investigators who don't care and aren't driven and are not political appointees. When I was there, it was about half the time was under the Bush administration, half the time was under the Obama administration. It made no difference to anything that I did. So I have faith in DOJ as an institution.
What happens to the 4 criminal indictments and Trump's New York sentencing now that he has been reelected?
The 2 federal indictments by Jack Smith are both on their way out the door. They're done. They were already stuck in sort of various litigation challenges, but Trump said, I'm going to fire Jack Smith within 2 minutes. And Jack Smith, we just got reporting from Paula Reed, who you probably know, saying that Smith is winding down. The state cases technically could sort of carry on, but they've got all sorts of problems. The Georgia case is stuck on its own appeal. I think that's going to get dismissed for prosecutorial misconduct anyway. Even if it doesn't, they're not going to be able to prosecute and try the sitting president. A state prosecutor, the supremacy clause of the Constitution, federal supremacy wouldn't allow that. New York is interesting because Trump's supposed to be sentenced in a couple of weeks, November 26th, but his lawyers are arguing, why bother? Because you're not going to realistically, it's not even clear he's going to get prison. But even if he does, you're not going to lock up the president when he's in the transition, which he is now. But he's not going to jail. I mean, even if the judge says, I sentence you to a year in prison, Trump is still going to get bail pending appeal, meaning he gets to stay out until his appeals are done. By the time his appeals are done, he'll be well into his second term, and you're not going to lock up the.
Thank you, Ellie and Sydney. In non-Trump news, Jack Teixeira, a former Massachusetts Air National Guard, on Tuesday was sentenced to 15 years in prison for illegally sharing classified information online. The leaked information included information on U.S. troop movements, affairs with Ukraine, and classified discussions. Court documents show this information was shared over the course of a year on Discord. NBC reported that acting U.S. Attorney Joshua S. Levy said, "We won't know the full extent of Jack Teixeira's damage for several years."
The Northeast U.S. has been hit by a severe drought, drying out reservoirs and raising wildfire risk. Over half the region is in a moderate drought or worse, with New Jersey seeing its driest stretch in almost 120 years. Since rain isn't expected soon, New Jersey's Governor Phil Murphy declared a drought warning, asking residents to do whatever they can to save water. Across the Hudson River, New York City Mayor Eric Adams issued a drought watch, ordering city agencies to prepare water conservation plans. The dry conditions have sparked over 500 fires in New Jersey since October 1st, and several bushfires in New York City parks.
The Onion, a satirical news outlet, has bought Alex Jones's radio show, InfoWars, at a bankruptcy auction. In 2022, Jones was made to pay more than $1 billion to the victims of families of the Sandy Hook massacre for spreading conspiracies and misinformation. The judge in Jones's case said he was nervous as a company affiliated with Jones put in a $3.5 million bid. The exact amount The Onion paid has not yet been released. Jones has called this an attack on free speech, and The Onion plans to relaunch InfoWars this January.
Dave Coulier, who is most famous for his role as Uncle Joey on Full House, announced his cancer diagnosis Wednesday. He spoke exclusively to Hoda Kotb on Today's Show about his stage 3 non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Coulier is currently undergoing chemotherapy and assured his audience that his cancer is very treatable. He said that he hopes sharing his story will help raise awareness and promote regular cancer screenings. While there's been a lot going on in politics, Boston is making headlines of its own. Stick with us after this break to find out.
100,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that the big homie needs help too. That you can't just rebound from everything. I know you've been grinding.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help.
Welcome back. City councils in Lowell and Brockton voted on Tuesday to ban homeless encampments in public spaces. This follows a Supreme Court ruling 3 months ago that allows cities to ban people from sleeping in public. Lowell, the 10-1 vote, banned camping in public if shelters are available and penalized violators with fines or arrests if they refuse. Government data shows that mid to smaller sized cities have seen an increase in public sleepers in recent years, and some residents say there are clear safety concerns.
Moving into the city of Boston, Beacon Hill has finally announced a compromise on a multi-billion-dollar economic development bill. WBUR reports that this bill includes many different investments, including contributions to the state's life sciences, climate tech, and AI industries. Through this bill, Massachusetts will join 30 other states that already allow political candidates to use campaign funds on childcare expenses. Candidates will be able to spend money on babysitting services, either by an individual babysitter or a center that will occur as a result of campaign activities. As it stands right now, Massachusetts has some of the highest childcare costs in the country, and lawmakers hope that this legislation will make it easier for working parents, specifically women, to consider running for office. However, there are some conditions to the law.
Classes were once again canceled as teachers in Beverly, Gloucester, and Marblehead continue to strike. Thursday is the fourth missed day for students in Beverly and Gloucester, and the third day for students in Marblehead. The teachers are arguing for higher pay and benefits such as parental leave. Teachers say they will keep striking for as long as necessary, despite facing $50,000 fines.
Demonstrators gathered outside Norfolk District Attorney Michelle Morrissey's office to protest alleged misconduct in multiple cases, including Karen Reed's high-profile trial. Reed, accused of murdering her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, says she's being framed in a law enforcement conspiracy and faces a retrial in April after her first trial ended in a mistrial. The retrial has sparked intense scrutiny, with both sides preparing new evidence, including data from Reed's SUV, which prosecutors claim may yield significant findings.
Boston Children's Hospital is ordered to pay almost $2 million to Amy Tischelman, a former physiologist who last let go after an internal investigation she said violated the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, better known as HIPAA. Amy sued the hospital back in 2020 for gender and age discrimination, claiming when she would bring up good faith concerns, the hospital would, quote, ostracize her, which eventually led to her termination on false pretenses. The hospital argued that accessing records to fulfill late reports is a legitimate reason to access patient records. Tischelman's lawyer made the point that this case is more than hospital records. It is about punishing someone that complained.
112,000 acres of publicly owned vacant land in the greater Boston area just might be the solution for Boston's housing crisis. On Tuesday, the Boston Foundation released its 2024 Greater Boston Housing Report Card. The report found that just 5% of this land would be enough space to create 85,000 units housing over 200,000 people. Catherine Einstein, a political science professor here at BU, report's authors outlined the benefits of such a release event.
It is so expensive to build housing in places like Greater Boston. And so especially if we want to produce more affordable housing, what could be better than having free?
Despite this support, the process of actually developing this land faces many challenges. Aside from high construction costs, developmental projects also must navigate procurement laws and opposition from local communities.
The New England Revolution, a Major League Soccer team, scored big with the Massachusetts state legislature this week, making major strides towards their goal of building Everett Stadium. Before the passage of Bill H-2100, construction on the stadium site was illegal since it was considered a designated port area. That status was revoked this week on the condition that the team enter a community impact agreement with the cities of Everett and Boston. This means developers must provide specific benefits to the local community in exchange for the city's support. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu told the Boston Globe that she looked forward to working on behalf of Boston residents to represent community needs at this site.
A Tufts University mathematics professor, Lauren Tu, recently donated over $10 million to the university's existing $2 billion endowment. Tu made the donation in honor of his grandfather, who made monumental advancements in modern Taiwanese medicine and who the Science and Engineering Complex will soon be named after. Tu earned this wealth by investing in some valuable stocks at a lucrative time and wanted to pay it back to the Tufts community before retiring next year. He hopes this gift will go towards increasing financial aid for Tufts students.
The recipient of the historic big pig kidney transplant has died. Rick Slayman, the first man to receive a kidney transplant from a genetically engineered pig, died due to unexpected cardiac event. Mass General doctors disclosed that there was no sign of Slayman's body rejecting the kidney and no indication that his death was caused by the transplant. Up next, come on to campus with us to get the latest in BU news.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Welcome back. Our correspondent Laura Hibbert went to check out BU's performance of El Comandante, an opera that has not been performed in 100 years.
This week, Boston University Symphony Orchestra performed a Spanish opera, El Caminante, in concert style for the first time in over a century. Dr. David Guzman, BU professor of music, learned of El Caminante in 2017 after reading a positive archived newspaper review of the original opera. After years of searching private collections, editing the sheet music, and putting missing pieces together, the opera is finally ready for performance and official recordings.
It's a 45-minute opera, 3 main characters, a small choir of 10 young girls, and a small tenor part. It's just beautiful. I think people will fall in love with this piece.
Juliette Kauji, who plays Hinessa, says she hopes that making this opera available for the public will give Eduardo Sanchez de Fuentes, the original composer, greater recognition of his work.
I feel quite an honor to be a part of this. Now that we'll have a recording, hopefully we'll be able to put him in the canon and maybe have him, up there with some of his contemporaries.
Michelle Johnson, who plays Yolanda in the production, says she feels both excitement and pressure performing this forgotten show.
So lush and gorgeous, it should be performed. It should be performed more, and I'm just happy to be a part of this project to give it some legs, to let it breathe and live.
Dr. Guzman's 7 years of research was brought to life on stage Wednesday evening. It was met with a standing ovation and raving reviews.
I think it was really beautiful, and I think the orchestra did fabulously. Everybody did beautifully. It was a wonderful show, yeah.
I'm currently inside Performance Center, where El Caminante just put on their first performance in over 100 years. If you're interested in the Forgotten Opera, a full recording will be available on all digital platforms by fall 2025. Reporting for Good Morning BU, I'm Laura Hibbert.
Thanks, Laura. If you want something to capture your eye on campus, BU's new Moments in Photography showcase in the 808 Gallery features work from 3 BU photographers. Cindy Scott, Janice Chacchio, and Jackie Riccardi have been working at BU for over a decade, photographing life at BU from graduation to sporting events. Aside from their BU work, the gallery also showcases photographs they've taken from around the world. The gallery will be on view through December 3rd.
A little bit further up Comav, I visited BU's Innovation Center to learn how students are looking for new ways to make money and start a career.
Inspiring. Awesome.
Boston University's Innovation Center is helping students navigate the challenging job market by hosting events that teach entrepreneurship. BU's Innovation Center leaders say they are helping students learn to network and collaborate with their peers.
What they learn, who they meet, the thinking that they do here is an accelerant to their innovation.
These initiatives are helping empower students to turn their ideas into viable career paths.
I was a first-year innovation fellow, and I was able to receive some of the best mentorship I've ever gotten and have such a strong community and cohort.
The Innovation Center aims to reprogram how students think about the idea of being an entrepreneur.
I feel like entrepreneurial mindset and skill set teaches you that you don't need to be told what to do, you don't need to be given permission what to do. You can sit there and think about what can I do. So
students from all over the city say they have come together to share ideas, start companies, and make friends. The innovation world here on campus is in full swing, and it's ready for more students to jump in. Stay tuned. We'll be talking about the Celtics win, our very own women's hockey team, and more after this break.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Welcome back. The Celtics bounced back after a loss to the Hawks Tuesday with a 139-114 win against the Nets the following day. Shooting guard Jaylen Brown had 6 turnovers when playing the Hawks, and forward Jason Tatum almost had a triple-double during the Nets game, but fell short with just 9 rebounds. After 8 games and 13 days, the Celtics will have 2 days to reset before they take on the Raptors on Saturday at TD Garden. The Boston women's hockey team is on a 9-game unbeaten streak, and is ranked first in the Hockey East standings. But on campus, they struggle to be recognized like the male teams. Sports correspondent Lily Chapman spoke to the team to see how they're facing this adversity.
While the Walter Brown Arena is under construction, Boston University women's hockey is sharing Aganis Arena with the men's team for the first time.
While IB will always have a place in my heart, but Aganis has been super fun, and just the atmosphere there is awesome, and going straight in the same arena as the boys, good for BU hockey.
It's obviously been a little bit tough with the 3 p.m. games, with gaining fans on Fridays. Usually evening we would get a lot more, I feel like, but that's okay. We're fighting through that adversity right now.
The team hoped they would bring in a crowd similar to the men's when making the switch to the notorious venue. But as the halfway point of their season nears, this is the reality.
The people that aren't necessarily hockey fans only really know that the men's team is here, so I'm hoping people that aren't as invested in hockey will start to invest more in women's hockey.
And I think if people actually got exposed and tried out one of our games, they'd be like, oh wow, this is actually so amazing too. Women can play hockey and sports too.
Adriana Brown is a leadership member of the BU Dog Pound, the official fan base of BU hockey. She is one of 2 women on the executive board and started an initiative to bring visibility to the women's team.
Being a woman in sports is having that visibility is just so important because women have to work just as hard to receive half of the recognition. I think that it's really important to bring awareness to those so that little girls growing up can go, look, I want to work in sports, it's possible.
As the Dog Pound garners more attention towards the women's team, Coach Tara Watchhorn hopes that more people will appreciate what the team has to offer.
I think that's why we love to have sport on our campuses is, to bring the school together, to unify around something, and I think, we want to represent BU with pride and do it with class at all times, and hopefully by winning some games, getting the amazing personalities of our girls out, to the public, and creating a following and essentially just be a part of that community that people feel like they're connected to it.
The Boston University women's hockey game will be playing Boston College tonight at 6 p.m. at Aganis Arena, differing from their usual 3 p.m. puck drop. The BU Dog Pound will be tabling today at the GSU to promote the game. For Good Morning BU, I'm Lily Chapman.
Thanks, Lily. Sitting next to me now is our other sports correspondent, Alexa Podolsky. She's here to talk all things BU men's ice hockey. Good morning, Alexa. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Okay, we're seeing a lot of new members added. It's almost like an entirely new roster. Who's standing out to you?
Well, Cole Iserman is definitely the best performing freshman on the team so far. He leads the team with 6 goals, just 2 fewer than Macklin Celebrini had this time last year. And Max Lacroix is looking like a viable option for when Matthew Caron inevitably leaves the team. He's played in 2 games so far and earned a win in his first career start. As for the players who transferred onto the team, Matt Capone has been great on both ends of the ice. He recorded 2 goals, 4 assists, and ranks 4th on the team with 10 defensive blocks. That's the most out of any other forward. Those 3 are high on my list for players to watch, and I think they'll play a big role in turning the Terrier season around.
Okay, so can BU fans expect to see the team make it to the Frozen Four this year?
Well, it's a little bit too early to tell, but if things don't get better, it could get close. To land a spot in the playoffs, it's either going to come down to a clutch win at the end of the season or to win 23 straight games, which I don't think will happen because a lot of the Hockey East matchups have yet to happen, including the Battle of Com Ave against BC in January. What I can say is that the defense needs to get it together. They've allowed 32 goals this season and got scored on 5 times in 3 consecutive games. Jay Pandolfo even said he couldn't remember a time when that had happened before. Matthew Caron seems to be in a little bit of a rut, so Max Lacroix has been splitting time with him in net in their most recent games. The offense also has some work to do, but you can't win games when your opponent scores multiple goals in the first period.
Thank you so much, Alexa. Stay tuned to hear about Zendaya and Robert Pattinson in Boston, who this year's Sexiest Man Alive is, and more after this break.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew a girl so smart, so responsible, she must be a keeper.
And that's going to do it this week at Good Morning BU. From all of us here on the GMBU team, thank you so much for watching. I'm Sydney Toff, and this is Addison Cummings. Stay safe and have a great weekend.